What does Yuval Noah Harari know about artificial intelligence and algorithms? He's a World Economic Forum member, so we probably know it isn't good. Let's go. Hello, this is Stephanie, and this is Truth Detective. I am your own Truth Detective, finding out the facts and evidence about the World Economic Forum, the World Health Organization, the bureaucrats, the unelected globalists, the elites, and all the corruption that goes on around the world. And there is plenty of it. If you are a regular listener, thank you so much for returning. And if you are a new listener, I hope that you enjoyed this episode. You can go to truthdetectivepodcast.com to get to all of my episodes. I am quite sure there are one or two that will resonate with you. You know, sharing knowledge is one of my favorite things. And that is why I always say, question everything. That's when the real truth comes out. And you can share that with your family and friends and enlighten those with the knowledge that you have acquired. Before I go any further with this episode, I want to give you a quote that was taken from Brave New World Revisited. It is a book by Aldous Huxley, and it was written in 1958. It says here, if the first half of the 20th century was the era of technical engineers, the second half may well be the era of the social engineers, and the 21st century, I suppose, will be the era of world controllers, the scientific caste system, and Brave New World. Aldous Huxley was right. That is exactly what is happening right now. Well, who's in the hot seat today and right now? It is Yuval Noah Harari. Maybe you haven't heard of Yuval Noah Harari, but you will, because he is a bigwig in the historical and artificial intelligence sector of the World Economic Forum. A matter of fact, he is the top advisor to Klaus Schwab, the founder of the World Economic Forum. In this episode, we are going to figure out why Yuval Noah Harari is said to be one of the most dangerous men in the world. Could it be because he has inside knowledge about AI and algorithms through talking to those bigwigs in Silicon Valley and is given the inside scoop about what's going to happen? We're going to find out. I couldn't immediately really tell in the beginning if Yuval Noah Harari was just a man with a historical message and a future message, or someone I ought to consider a foe. But watch him on videos and hear him speak in this episode, and you will begin to see what I saw and heard. The personality of a psychopathic, giddy man with excitement like that of Bill Gates. Apparent AI guru and studier of history, Yuval Noah Harari, like his fellow WEF buddies, Bill Gates and many other young global leaders, is the one we should most fear. Yuval Noah Harari is known for his best-selling book, holdouts, which has the subtitle of A Brief History of Tomorrow, Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind, and 21 Lessons for the 21st Century. Through my research, I have found that Harari is a disturbing man, a psychologically disturbed and damaged man, and a psychopath that has no empathy and no care for anyone. As Yuval will tell you, ever since COVID, we have been faced with an unimaginable evil, but it can be fixed. Listen here.
COVID is critical because this is what convinces people to accept, to legitimize total biometric surveillance. If we want to stop this epidemic, we need not just to monitor people, we need to monitor what's happening under their skin.
Okay, so we know how he feels about the COVID pandemic. A matter of fact, Klaus Schwab wrote a book called COVID-19, The Great Reset. So we have that. But to me, the framers, the founding fathers of our country based the entirety of America on the belief in Judeo-Christian values, which the WEF doesn't believe. And as the futurists march on with a total plan of globalism, the changeover from an atheist belief to that of a Judeo-Christian belief is really interesting and worth exploring further. I will put some interesting YouTube videos in the show notes about that. More people of this country and the world are starting to become true believers. It doesn't really matter what you call it, unless it's called what Silicon Valley calls it, which is techno-religion. With AI and its algorithms, we can see that there is no need for capital G-O-D. AI will be the God created by the techno-religious leaders in Silicon Valley. Silicon Valley high-powered decision makers making decisions that will affect every single one of us. What a scary thought. The technocrats becoming our God figures, our religious leaders. It is our future. There is no doubt. And if we don't stop AI from becoming smarter than humans, we are in trouble with our own humanity. There is no doubt. Even Yuval Noah Harari tells us that. I did a little AI experiment. I thought I would ask ChatGPT-4 a couple of questions. Let me explain. ChatGPT-4 is an algorithm that you ask questions to, and it searches everywhere it can for the data that it needs to answer your question. One question was, what are the downfalls of artificial intelligence? The answer was rather lengthy, so I will give you the summary. Here it states, while artificial intelligence AI offers numerous benefits and promising applications, it is essential to acknowledge its potential downsides and limitations. Here are some of the key downfalls of AI. Lack of common sense, bias and discrimination, ethical concerns, unemployment and socioeconomic impact, reliance on data quality and quantity, a lack of transparency and interpretability, vulnerability to adversarial attacks, dependence on energy and resources. It says it is important to address these challenges and strive for responsible development and deployment of AI technologies to mitigate their potential negative effects while harnessing the benefits AI offers. That's a perfect answer, and it's not tainted by a particular agenda. I will leave the full answer of what are the downfalls of AI in the show notes so you can see it. The next question I asked ChatGPT is this, and I will read the whole answer. What are algorithms? Well, algorithms are something that we are going to need to know about ASAP. The answer is this. Algorithms are a set of well-defined instructions or rules that are followed to solve a problem or perform a specific task. They are step-by-step procedures designed to accomplish a particular objective or computation. It goes on here. In computer science and programming, algorithms serve as the building blocks of software and are used to manipulate and process data. They provide a systematic approach to problem solving by breaking down complex tasks into smaller, more manageable steps. Algorithms can be found in various domains and applications, such as search engines, recommendation systems, sorting and searching data, data analysis, cryptography, machine learning, and much more. They can be written in programming language and implemented in software and executed by machines. A good algorithm is efficient, accurate, and produces the desired output for a given input. It should have clear instructions and be able to handle various scenarios and edge cases. Algorithm design and analysis are important areas of study in computer science, where researchers and developers strive to create algorithms that are both effective and efficient. Yuval Noah Harari has said in his book Homo Deus, A Brief History of Tomorrow, that we already use algorithms by just living. We do things that are giving us results that we want. Yuval Noah Harari uses the example of a vending machine. A perfect example of when you push a button and you want tea, you have the algorithm figure out what kind of tea you want, what kind of coffee you want. Do you want cream or sugar in your coffee? These are algorithms that don't have a necessary use for our spoken language of choice, but it understands the task that it is required to perform. It has the data and the developer involved in making that task perform as it should. Yuval Noah Harari even uses math as an algorithm. 2 plus 2 equals 4. 4 times 4 equals 16. These are algorithms that have been set for years and years by data and discovery. Another example that Yuval Noah Harari makes is in the squirrel species and how squirrels don't really have a conscious or five senses to know about really self-awareness, but yet they know that they are to collect nuts for the winter without even conceptualizing what winter is or why they are collecting nuts. That is an algorithm that he uses as well. We create algorithms not using any spoken word. Well, you see where this is going, taking the consciousness, the self-awareness away from us and creating intelligence by way of robots and algorithms. But the powers that be are moving ahead with artificial intelligence and algorithms. OpenAI and ChatGPT-4 are about as far as I want to go right now with those algorithms, knowing very little about all the changes that will happen in the near future. And then, like a miracle, I learned about an open letter from March of 2023, reported in TechCrunch. Very notable signatories just signed an open letter asking all AI labs to immediately pause for at least 6 months. From the website Future for Life, here it says that Elon Musk, Steve Wozniak, and Tristan Harris of the Center for Humane Technology have signed an open letter that was posted online calling all AI labs to immediately pause for at least 6 months, worried that AI and algorithms may become smarter than us in the very near future, and that it holds a lot of problematic situations rife for nefarious activities. Before I start talking about this open letter that was signed, let's just use some of Yuval Noah Harari's own words to let you know what these signatories are worried about. Listen here.
Humans are now hackable animals. The whole idea that humans have, they have this soul or spirit and they have free will and nobody knows what's happening inside me. So whatever I choose, whether in the election or whether in the supermarket, this is my free will, that's over.
And then there's this.
And if indeed we succeed in hacking and engineering life, this will be not just the greatest revolution in the history of humanity. This will be the greatest revolution in biology since the very beginning of life 4 billion years ago. For 4 billion years, nothing fundamental changed in the basic rules of the game of life. All of life, for 4 billion years, dinosaurs, amoebas, tomatoes, humans, all of life was subject to the laws of natural selection and to the laws of organic biochemistry. But this is now about to change. Science is replacing evolution by natural selection with evolution by intelligent design. Not the intelligent design of some god above the clouds, but our intelligent design and the intelligent design of our clouds, the IBM cloud, the Microsoft cloud. These are the new driving forces.
Well, that's pretty scary. Should we risk the loss of control of our civilization? Powerful AI systems should be developed only once we are confident that their effects will be positive and their risks will be manageable. OpenAI CEO Sam Altman has said that Elon Musk is perhaps the least surprising signatory of this open letter, given that he has been talking about AI safety for many years and has more lately taken aim at OpenAI specifically. Here's Elon Musk weighing in.
AI doesn't have to be evil to destroy humanity. If AI has a goal and humanity just happens to be in the way, it will destroy humanity as a matter of course, without even thinking about it. No hard feelings. It's just like if we're building a road and an anthill happens to be in the way, we don't hate ants. We're just building a road. And so goodbye anthill. If there's a superintelligent, particularly if it's engaged in recursive self-improvement, if there's some digital superintelligence and its optimization or utility function is something that's detrimental to humanity, then it will have a very bad effect. It could be just something like getting rid of spam email or something. And it's like concludes, well, the best way to get rid of spam is to get rid of humans.
Well, hopefully that won't happen. Former Chief Business Officer Mo Gaudat, formerly of Google, joins Piers Morgan, Uncensored, to talk about the dangers of artificial intelligence. And he was a signator to the Open AI letter to put a halt on AI for 6 months. Listen here.
And you very quickly were out of the traps to warn people, look, this is serious.
Very.
What was it that you saw where you thought, okay, we've got to be really careful now?
We had a tiny bit of an experiment that was about teaching robotic arms to grip items that were some funny developer used children toys in front of those arms. And basically they kept trying for weeks without any success whatsoever. On a Friday evening, one of them gripped one yellow ball, showed it to the camera. Monday morning, every one of them was gripping every yellow ball. By a few weeks later, every one of them was gripping everything. The speed at which those machines were learning is staggering, but at the same time, the understanding we have about why they learn, why they do what they do, is very, very limited. They basically are mimicking human intelligence.
And the reason I asked that is I interviewed Professor Stephen Hawking, and I asked him, what is the biggest threat to mankind?
Ever since the start of the Industrial Revolution, there have been fears of mass unemployment as machines replaced humans. Instead, the demand for goods and services has risen in line with the increased capabilities. Whether this can continue indefinitely is an open question, but there is a greater danger from artificial intelligence if we allow it to become self-designing, for then it can improve itself rapidly, and we may lose control.
We always had three boundaries, if you want, for AI. We said, don't put them on the open internet until you solve the control problem. Don't teach them to code, because that makes them self-developing. And don't have other AIs prompting them, other agents working with them. The speed at which they are learning. And this
talk me through timings here, because people have been calling experts in this letter, calling for a 6-month pause, but if nothing is paused, if we carry on at the rate that we're going at the moment, what could happen?
The reality, in my personal view, is that it is very difficult to predict. Something could happen tomorrow, or in 4 years, or in 5 years. I wouldn't say later than 2029. Most of our predictions...
And when you say something, what do you mean? What is the worst case scenario here?
Beginning of the worst case scenario is that they are smarter than us, so they're not controllable. Right? And the thing that...
And what would they do then? What would artificial intelligence do once it becomes smarter than human beings? Would it see us human entities as pointless?
There are two stages of threat, right? And I think the biggest challenge we have in the world today is we're focused on the existential threat that we saw in science fiction movies. The closer threat is much worse, right? The one that controls AI has enormous power over everyone else, right? And basically that means that everyone who doesn't control AI today...
I mean, a well-intentioned person trying to regulate and control AI would give it morality, it would teach
That's the whole point.
But a nefarious controller of AI presumably could teach it to be immoral, the opposite.
Which is happening as we speak. There's absolutely no doubt. If you tell the drug lords of the world and the criminals of the world that AI is a super powerful tool, they're finding a way to hack your bank as we speak.
It's scary.
It is very, very concerning. And I think the reality is, interestingly, the only way you can defend against a super intelligence is through another super intelligence. If, it falls in the wrong hands, we want the right hands to have power to defend us, right? At the same time, that complexity of the situation is entirely about morality and ethics.
If you're teaching it deliberately to be immoral, very quickly you could get out of control AI, which has very unpleasant tendencies.
So I honestly am not concerned with the machines, even though the existential threats are possible.
You're concerned with what humans teach them.
I'm concerned with humans, with AI in their hands.
I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Should we let machines flood our information channels with propaganda and untruth? Here, I have a clip from Dan Bongino from The Dan Bongino Show.
The artificial intelligence threat is getting really serious, whether you believe it or not. I'm just going by people on the inside who have very specific expertise in this area. When someone working on AI full time, it is their entire life, tells me this is getting out of our control fast. We're creating a super being smarter than us that could destroy us. I get worried. The Week, which is not known for its conservative right-leaning opinions, by the way, said exactly what the worst case scenario problem would be, which I've warned you about only 100 times. Who the hell's programming the AI, folks? Oh, lefty goons are, who are telling the AI to try to solve climate change. The Week notes a more plausible scenario is that AI tasked with solving climate change decides the fastest way to halt carbon emissions is to extinguish humanity. Hello, McFly. Has anybody thought about this? You're creating a super intelligent being, telling it that the world is going to end in 12 years due to climate change caused by humans? Has no one thought this through? I was watching this morning. There was a comedian on, and he was making this exact point. Like nearly every intelligent person on planet Earth knows this is a threat, but they're like, let's just keep going. It sends emails. Yet nobody's worried about this?
On the internet is the article that Dan Bongino was referring to, entitled AI, the Worst Case Scenario. It says here, what are AI experts afraid of? This is not science fiction, said Geoffrey Hinton, often called the godfather of AI, who recently left Google. He says a lot of smart people should be putting a lot of effort into figuring out how we deal with the possibility of AI taking over. Hinton used to think that the danger was at least 30 years away, but says AI is evolving into a super intelligence so rapidly that it may be smarter than humans in as little as 5 years. Fear of AI vanquishing humans may be novel as a real-world concern, but it's a long-running theme in novels and movies. In 1818's Frankenstein, Mary Shelley wrote of a scientist who brings to life an intelligent creature who can read and understand human emotions and eventually destroys his creator. Hey, I don't know about you, but I'm worried about this. Back in 2021, Singularity Weekly, a newsletter sent out by Joe Allen, had an article entitled Yuval Noah Harari, Technology Will Enslave You. Global Elites Will Save You. The subtitle of the article is Technocrats Will Use AI to Control Your Brain. Not that it matters much. You don't have free will, so you don't have a choice either way. In the article, Allen writes, the Hebrew University professor scared America half to death with his dire predictions. Human beings are rapidly gaining the ability to alter their bodies and brains through technology, through gene editing, designer babies, and neuroenhancement devices. But because bionics aren't cheap, this could be a hereditary fork in the road, where GMO cyborgs become an elite caste that rules over flesh and blood holdovers. Because of AI's superior problem-solving abilities, Harari predicts this soulless alien intelligence could soon rule over all of us, cyborgs included. In many ways, they already do. Our personal data is being mined relentlessly to train these machine learning systems. Our tastes, our habits, and even our innermost thoughts are siphoned up through apps and algorithms, creating detailed dossiers and maps of our social networks. As the future bears down on us, genetic sequencing and biometric sensors are extending that surveillance to our biological states. By synthesizing all of this information, corporations and governments will be able to predict our behavior precisely and direct our souls at will. That is until the rise of the machines. Harari repeated the core religious principles behind what he's long called dataism. To hack a human being is to get to know that person better than they know themselves, and based on that, to increasingly manipulate you. The more we use social media and shop on the internet, the more data is collected about us, and therefore the algorithm will know more about us than we know about ourselves. He gives examples of the books you read, where and why you lose interest in finishing the book, how long it takes you to do various activities, who you date and why, if you should get married, etc. All this data will be used to eventually get AI to know your habits, likes, dislikes, who you hang out with, and even your healthy habits or unhealthy habits that you need to improve upon. It's a scary thought. So instead of you making decisions on behalf of you and your family, the AI, the robots, the algorithms will be making those decisions, despite what you think is right, moral, and a good judgment for you and your family. No worries. Don't want to take the vaccine? Want to drink soda? You want to go see some movie that is not recommended for you to see? Have your own religious beliefs? Let the AI and robots make that decision for you. And yes, we will lose every single bit of our consciousness and humanity. In Homo Deus, Yuval Noah Harari wrote about two Oxford researchers who have compiled a list, The Future of Employment. And boy, is it bleak. In their findings, they used an algorithm to do the calculations on different professions being taken over by algorithms. Well, it is bleak. 47% of the U.S. jobs are at high risk. For example, there is a 99% chance that telemarketers and insurance underwriters will lose their job to algorithms. 97% chance that it will happen to cashiers. 96% chance that it will happen to chefs. 94% chance that it will happen to waiters. 89% chance that bus drivers will lose their jobs. 88% chance it will happen to construction workers. 72% chance is it'll happen to carpenters, just to name a few. But by 2033 or so, Harari writes that there will likely be new jobs that require more creativity and flexibility, virtual designers, and other AI and algorithm jobs involving technology. It is unclear, for example, whether a 40-year-old cashier will be able to adapt and learn a new skill for the new futuristic world of algorithms. The problem that the future faces is a crucial dilemma, creating new jobs replacing the old jobs. It's honestly a mere impossibility because the algorithms keep getting better and better. So that means the person or the human behind a job has to keep adapting to meet those standards. It is really impossible and hard to imagine. Listen to Yuval Noah Harari explain it a little bit better.
Yeah, one of the biggest dangers with this new technology is that, a lot of jobs will disappear. There will be new jobs, but the new jobs will demand high skills. So the biggest question in the job market would be whether you are able to retrain yourself to fill the new job. Then if you can't do it, the danger is you fall down to a new class, not unemployed, but unemployable, the useless class. People who don't have any skills that the new economy needs. This will be a disaster.
Well, yes, it will be a disaster. Thank you very much, Yuval Noah Harari. You know how I feel about the World Economic Forum, the World Health Organization, the United Nations, and the globalists. But there is more to all of these people. This is not only about artificial intelligence or algorithms. Believe me, the World Economic Forum members have been playing God with our country and the world for a very long time. There is a communist, totalitarian, tyrannical foothold they all have on us. It is a world that eliminates the human being, the original human, that is. Through my extensive research, I believe the members of the World Economic Forum are not concerned about the nature of humanity. As a matter of fact, I don't think they like humans at all. Humans are the bane of their existence, and the globalist crowd has absolutely no use for the likes of you or me. The WEF has satanic, demonic undertones and doesn't want anything to do with caring, love, compassion, happiness, family. They want nothing to do with our rights to be free, as the Constitution dictates. At the time of 9/11, there were many books about a godless world, authors proselytizing about atheism. Atheism ramped up and started to bleed into the culture back then, believing no life in the hereafter, no justice, no hope. There is no right and wrong. There is only what happens. They believe that there is no one to judge them in the hereafter, so who cares? Anything goes. They believe they are our God, making decisions that we are way too stupid to make. That is the logical conclusion, and we are seeing this demonic scene play out in the push for euthanasia in Canada and the Netherlands. Yes, sirree, it is true that the World Economic Forum is arrogant and open about what they are doing. Don't forget what the real goal is and what I have told you about in so many episodes. The WEF at its core is about depopulation. The powerful globalists think the earth is running out of the natural resources that they need. They, the elites, the globalists. To be a tyrannical, totalitarian, communist country like China is the goal, and that means that there has to be plenty of chaos, destruction, and unbearable, inhumane conditions that must happen first, and then there will be total control. And one of the many ways is with the artificial intelligence and the algorithms that will kill off most of humanity. It can be a perfect world for everybody. Well, except us. See, perfect. And now I hope that you can see what exactly the futurists, the globalists, and Yuval Noah Harari have in mind for us. The push for vaccines all over the world, especially in African nations, lowering your carbon footprint, therefore reducing CO2, the gas of life, and the speed that the futurists and globalists want to move ahead with artificial intelligence and algorithms. Well, it hardly makes sense unless you factor in the absolute dire need to depopulate the planet by a certain amount. Go back and listen to my last episode on the World Health Organization. This will give you some great knowledge about what the WHO, the WEF, and all of the bureaucrats, globalists, and world leaders are doing to all of us. Well, I could go on and on about this subject, but I hope I've given you enough that you are curious, are questioning everything, and want to know more about, well, artificial intelligence, AI, and the tyrannical, totalitarian communists of the globalists and the elites, and what they want to do to our nation and the world. If you have enjoyed this episode, you can go to truthdetectivepodcast.com to get to all of my episodes. I am quite sure one or two of them will resonate with you. Hey, that rhymes. Listen, don't forget to laugh, have fun, have happiness, be with your family, enjoy every single moment of the life that you lead. That is so worth it. Especially remember all the good things that are happening in your life. If you'd like to email me, my email address is truthdetectivepodcast@gmail.com. Suggestions, comments, and your opinions are always welcome. I have a really great topic for next episode, so stay tuned, and I will see you soon on Truth Detective with Stephanie Lee. Okay, bye-bye.